What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of an honest conversation about hip hop. It is your boy, yours truly, D. Moraney, aka Hip Hop Old Head, aka Hip Hop's Uncle Phil, and we are here to close out 2020 or 2019, right? Yeah,
2019.
2019. I'm tripping, man. But as always, I have with me the one and only.
It's your boy Son Capone, the greatest rapper never known. And shit, last episode of the year, man. I'm a little sentimental, man. It's like
Very sentimental, man. Let's shout out really quickly our co-host and brother, man, Big Pooh, who's not here with us. Just want to put some positive energy and definitely prayers in the air as he is on the mend and will hopefully be back soon with us. So if you're a fan of the show, if you are only listening because of Big Pooh, or maybe don't like some of the things he says on the show, whatnot, but we want everybody there to go ahead and put some positive energy out there for him because it's definitely needed right now. And we here in an honest conversation about hip hop would appreciate that. If you could go ahead and do that one time, big get well to our brother out there, man. So 2020 coming to a beginning, 2019 coming to an end. Hell a year. A lot of things went down musically, personally. 2019 has been a definitely a crazy year, and you had a really good topic that you wanted to address, and that was basically what things do we think hip hop needs to address in 2020, meaning subject matter, content. Should the culture be held accountable in 2020? So I'm gonna start off with you, Son Capone. What was your thought process in regards to that question, or why was that something that happened to be heavy on your mind?
all right. And you think about the end of the year, and you kind of analyze what's transpiring and what's going on with you personally, and what you need to do to evolve and understand that time is borrowed, and time is that payday loan that you got to pay when that paycheck is coming on next Friday. So you got to cash that out. So you got to make the most of it. The time that you're here. So, as far as
So you feel like you've wasted time in essence, or you feel like just in general too much time in hip hop is being wasted?
well, yeah. It's time to grow. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's you're at the house. And you're 22, 23, and you need to branch out and start evolving. You know what I mean? And start growing and start, making grown moves.
So do you think any of these rappers are ready to make a grown move from these younger guys? The babies. I'm trying to think who else is really young. 21 Savage is older than some of them. Lil Uzi's been hiding somewhere for the past couple years. You just mean overall the current crop of these young hip hop rap stars, it's time for them to go ahead and mature?
Well, initially they will mature. I don't know if this in 2020 is going to be the year that they do mature. And initially they'll get it. You know what I mean? Because there's things that your parents told you when you were a kid you didn't understand, but now as you're grown, make full sense. And I don't expect them to, but with these kids, they're like our little brothers. You know what I mean? And with little brothers, they think they know everything, but with some guidance will further them along than what they're doing on their own.
Right.
So I think that with hip hop, I think the older brothers got to step up, and the next generation, and not even the next generation or the prior generation, but the cats that have been in the game longer than the baby, and the Spit Savage or not Spit Savage, but
Shout
21
out to Spit
yeah,
Savage.
shout out, sorry Spit,
Yeah.
but 21 Savage and all these younger cats, making the younger moves. So I think the Coles and the Kendricks and cats that have been in the game that got a little more established career. I think they
So
need to start
so
stepping up
that
and influencing the.
so there's where the accountability needs to be, and I think J. Cole has done that in regards to kind of what he did after dropping KOD and all the verses and
But
collaboration
but
he's
when you
done.
got
But there
only
needs to
one,
be more.
yeah, no, of course. When you got one brother saying this shit, then it's in one ear and out the
The
other.
other.
But when you've got the whole crew telling you the same shit, then it becomes more viable. So I think that they need to assist with Cole, and I think that's kind of where, I mean, shit, hip hop is just like our people. It's like daddy wasn't home, so big brother had to raise us. And I think that's where hip hop is, and I think we've got to come to that conclusion that daddy ain't coming home, but big brother's got to look out.
So where does the really accountability begin? You know, as far as, is it changing in the music? Is it changing the culture behind the music? I mean, because I know you were very concerned with the passing of Juice World. Not so much about him passing, rest in peace to him. But it was more about the circumstances around that, the amount of drugs that were on the plane and those type of things. So, give me a little bit of that, of the whole. We start with maybe changing. Is it the culture, the influence of the culture?
The influence and the actions of those involved in the culture and what you're promoting. You know what I mean? And when you promote negativity or speak of negativity or death or things of that nature, then of course that energy is going to come return to you. So I think that, I mean, we got to start enlightening and influencing the ones that are listening. And I mean, obviously it's not our generation that's doing the majority of the listening. You gotta drake
Right.
drake dropped his record or whatever, and that bullshit wasted about 3 minutes of my fucking life right now just going over that. But it's the kids that this holiday, and Christmas was the other day, and I'm sitting there with my little cousins, and 13, 14 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get his shit right and telling me he's doing um, home studies, and then what's it called? He's falling behind and just really just not motivated. You know what I
Right.
mean? Not
Right.
motivated and just kind of just going through it. But I'm telling them, stick with it, knock the shit out, because the more that you bullshit now, you're gonna have to make up for it later.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
you're gonna have to go ahead and be accountable at a later time, and you're gonna have to, if you don't like working on this shit now, it's gonna be 3 times harder than when you're trying to take care of business. So those little conversations, can go ahead and change the demeanor. And it's just like, shit, if school is not your thing, that's cool. My niece got her GED at 16. You know what I mean? In school, she's above it. School is
Yeah.
not challenging enough. And depending on what you want to do and where you want to go, we got to encourage these kids. And and that's my family. I think that with the culture itself, we're all fucking family, and we're not having these fucking conversations, and that's why the fuck we're lost. You know what I mean? And it honestly took maybe 5 minutes out of my day to have this one conversation. I'm gonna check on this little ass,
Right.
you know what I mean, in a month to see what progressions he's made. But we've got to have these conversations. But more importantly, more than fucking conversation, we need follow-ups. You know what I mean? We got to follow up and make sure that they're on top of their shit. And like I said, daddy's not coming home. That's just the reality of the shit. But we got it. Big brother's got to be more accountable. And then with big brother leading and schooling little brother, then it eventually, bring more accountability to the culture.
So if little brother is the kids that are the 13 or the 14-year-olds, and then if we talk about hip hop directly, we'll say little brother are the 17 and 18-year-olds. To me, I think the older brother, big brother, and the ones that they're looking at are the young thugs and the futures, not really fucking with the Coles or the Kendricks, because as you said, with your one niece who's realized that, hey, school's not for me. Let me get my GED. Let me start working as early as possible because I like that more. Let's say those are the Coles and the Kendricks that have realized where they're going. And so your other, nephew, he's trying to figure it out. And so he's looking up to maybe people who are a little older than him who are in that same situation and still trying to figure it out. And that is what is scary nowadays, because you have a lot of these kids who are following the extensions, rest in peace, the little peeps, rest in peace. And they're living that type of lifestyle, and that's taking them down the wrong road. As we can already see, how many of these youngsters have died. If we just take a look back at our generation of, drugs, and this newer generation of these kids with drugs, they're dying at a much quicker rate than we are. Like there's,
I can't even tell you. I mean, in our generation, I can't tell you in our generation who OD'd. Motherfuckers had problems,
right,
and they had addictions,
right.
but I mean, either they're still haunted by those demons or they're done with it. But nobody died.
Right. No disrespect, because we don't know 100%, but I would say the only person I think from our generation that died that way was Pimp C.
Mm.
Maybe maybe
that
DJ
was,
Magic Mike
2000s.
from complications
Mm.
of the lean or whatnot, but it's just an alarming rate of how young these kids are passing away now. Well, and again, I'm only clowning, but Bobby Brown is out there crack-headed as fuck. X is still out there cracked out. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, hey, our drugs abuse was better than your, younger drug abuse.
It's all bad, kids.
But it's all bad, and it is accelerating at a level that is now very, very
astronomical.
Yeah.
Numbers.
And it almost sounds, depending on who you listen to, this Juice WRLD's girl was saying that, the drugs that were found on this plane were provided by the label. Fake prescriptions and everything. So it's almost like, they want to keep these kids doped up so they can take advantage of it.
It's called pimping.
Yeah, no,
that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what it really is. And they're taking advantage of them. Yeah, and they're taking advantage of these youngsters, man, and it's very sad that's happening.
That's where Big Brother got to step the fuck in. You know what I mean?
But that's my point. What happens when Big Brother is part of the game?
But not all your brothers are part of the game. You know what I mean? And that's where motherfuckers got to stand collected. That's a fucking problem. Period. Not just in the culture, but just in the community. Is we're not fucking together, man. We all stand divided. You know, and that's the problem. We got to get out of this division and me shit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But isn't that what hip hop is? It's always been me, not division. But there's that large portion of the game of hip hop that's about me. I'm the best MC. I'm the flyest dresser. It's that bravado. And now, yes, division has definitely occurred, and that's either occurred through, as you said, incarceration, gang banging, or just someone's own attitude, not being able to work with somebody else because they never had to.
Again, the reason motherfuckers have bravado because daddy wasn't home.
Right, but how do we do that? How do we do that? I guess is the question.
Got to grow the fuck up.
So those are all buzzwords. Grow up, but how? How do we apply that to what's really happening? Because we know that all of a sudden, as the clock strikes midnight, rappers aren't just gonna start making responsible records.
No,
you know what I mean. I can't tell you.
Of course not. Of course not. You know what I mean? This is my perception. I mean, for any improvement, that's what needs to be fucking done. But does anybody want to seek improvement? That I can't speak for. If Syme was the fucking CEO of the culture, this shit would be done. But you know what I mean? There's other hands in the pocket, and there's other.
Well, that's a good point, because there are metaphorical CEOs of the culture. We'll say Jay is one of those. We'll say maybe Puff is another. Again, people who are looked up to in the culture. We'll just use Jay and Puff, and we'll play this game. So you're Jay or Puff. Pick whichever one you want to be. How do you implement some of those things that you're talking about? If you're either of those dudes, what's the first thing you do in 2020 to try to bring awareness to the change that would be needed? And let me ask you, maybe do you think they even hold enough weight to say make some of those things happen?
No. I mean, they hold enough weight to take some pictures in fucking white suits and shit like that, and make we're king statement on Twitter. Right. You know what I mean? But as far as the follow through, I mean, it's gonna take work. I mean, you gotta promote change. You can't just fucking shoot a fucking 30-second clip speaking with Roger Goodell and fucking take down interviews and shit like that. No, you gotta lead by example. I mean, if you're gonna make change, you gotta sign artists to your label and set the example, set the bar. Put your money, put your money into that shit. Put your money into that artist, the same fucking amount of money that you put into fucking Umbrella and Rihanna. Then we might see some fucking change. Then instead of playing fucking Tilly Willy at fucking Thursday night football, why don't you fucking go ahead and have those artists showcase this shit for at least 4 weeks out of the fucking season? Just a quarter of the sake. But it's gonna take a lot more than Jay, because it's the powers that be. He can control the music aspect and the budget of it, but is Goodell gonna really stand behind that? But he does have influence to make change. NFL would be kind of hard, but he can still make change in other venues and set up other tours and create music to go ahead and influence change, positivity, and realness.
No, they both definitely could, and I like what you said. Put the money behind the artists, the positive artists, the conscious artists. I don't even have to be conscious, but someone who's not pushing the regular agenda. Put that same money behind them that you'd put behind the Rihannas or the artists that the folks that control the industry want you to go ahead and push. And spend that same marketing, and hopefully that catches fire and can change the perceptions of a lot of the youngsters out there.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, when we talk about kind of gatekeepers, we always kind of put Dre up there, and he was just announced to be the highest grossing or highest paid artist of the decade. And
that's
crazy because if you think about it,
he only did one album.
He did the how many albums do you think he produced? He did the Compton album. He's getting money off.
It was Kendrick, but he probably helped with the Black Panther.
Probably
like low
key.
Yeah,
he's probably getting all that
Mahogany and shit.
He's probably getting all that TDE money. But let's see here. So yeah, Forbes said he's the highest paid musician of the 2010s.
But I'll tell you, 80% of that shit is the Apple deal. The other 20% is.
So even though he hasn't put out an album in 4 years.
Okay, let's break this shit down. So 80% is the fucking Apple deal. Okay, the other 2% is the Compton album, and then the other 18% is just mailbox money of royalties from shit that he had produced from 2009, down or whatever.
So let me ask you, in 10 years, how much do you think he made? Just give me a number, ballpark.
Oh man, because the Apple deal was at 700,000 or 700 million by itself, so it had to be close to a bill. So I'd probably say like high 8s, low 9s.
$950 million over the past decade.
Yeah, he almost clipped it.
He said so. The majority of those earnings stem from owning 20% of the iconic headphones Beats.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
the headphones.
So yeah.
Sorry, Apple. Fuck y'all.
So back in 2014, the headphone company was sold to Apple for a cool $3 billion. So it was sold for $3 billion.
No, Apple paid them. All right.
Well, it was sold for $3 billion, but you only made $950 million.
Yeah, because he's like a partner,
Right. So what do you think his cut is then?
Shit, $3 billion.
Well, you own 20%. So I guess you get 20% of
seven. It was 700. I'll tell you, it was 700 and something million that he had made from that deal alone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Yeah, that motherfucker had some tax write-offs that year, didn't he? Shit. Hey, wasn't he giving money to Compton High or?
So yeah, let's go into that. Yeah, definitely. So in 2017. He donated $10 million to start a performing arts center at Compton High School.
There we go.
So I wonder how that's going.
I can't knock that, man. The kids came up on that, and I ain't mad at that.
Yeah. Well, it didn't give us too much there, but
SC, I know he put in money to SC.
Well, yeah, he did. Him and Jimmy Iovine have a music program over at SC or whatnot. And that's cool. I mean, props to Dre for giving back. But again, hey, the question is, where is he at on the West Coast? what is he doing musically? He's working with YBN Cordae, and Andre was rumored to be in the studio. Kanye's come through, But again, is Dre again somebody that would be relevant to the newer guys now? Like, could Dre, even though this kid doesn't need a cosign, but is a Roddy Ricch someone that Dre should be big brother in at this point?
I think no. I think Dre is cool where he's at because I think he's disconnected from music, the sound sonically. A lot of the shit that Dre was doing was samples and twisting that up, clearing the clarity of the music. That's what made Dre famous. But because the majority of the production that's out now is not samples, so I mean the clarity is there because it's a program generated beat. There's no sample, so you know what I mean. You're getting the instrumentation and the fucking instruments all in your fucking program that you're the Fruity Loops or whatever the fuck these guys are using, Logic or whatever program that they're in. You get that specific sound. So I think with the game, everything has become computerized. So I mean, Drake, he knows how to fuck with it, but I think that it's crazy because I've seen where producers get stuck because with a lot of the sounds and shit that they do now is very simplistic, and the producers that I came up with, I would tell them, man, we got to get on. You got to get on the motherfucking boat. You got to get on the boat. You got to make shit sound like Gucci or whoever the fuck was popping at the time, and just be like, they would decline it because man, I can't do that simplistic shit.
Right.
And they're just
trying to create.
They're creators. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I understood it, but I think with Dre, you're talking about one of the ultimate creators in the culture. Period.
Right.
So it'd be hard for him to simplify.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't really need to simplify. I think if he would just come in and maybe mix some of these projects, make it sound a little better. Or I mean, I would love to see that, even though I'm not a Roddy Ricch fan or a Dr. Dre fan, but it would be good to see, as you said, the big brother's big brother, or the old uncles, if that's the way we're gonna look at them. And that's what hip hop in a whole is missing. There is that gap, the disconnect in the bridging of the gap. And other musics, yes, other genres don't have that either, but hip hop, I think, needs that because it seems like we get further and further away every time there is a new generation that is spawned off. Yeah. And this generation now, the pill popping emo weirdo guys, they're very disconnected from pretty much a lot of things that are happening in hip hop. And I think the accountability needs to start with the people who play the records, cosigns that are given, the publications, the radio stations, the podcasters, the vloggers. That's where the accountability really needs to start, because that's where the power is.
You think so?
I think so, because YouTube.
These kids, they're not listening to radio or podcast, and
they are. What are you talking about?
Nah, man.
Podcasting is blown up. The number.
No, I know it's blown up, but I don't think it's the kids that's fucking with it.
Well, this is what I mean.
Or the radio, or none of that. I think that the trends and shit. I mean, the trends come from social media and shit like that.
Right.
That's
and
where
who are those influencers? Who are those influencers? You start off as, I'm just an influencer, but now I got to get this next move. So now I got a podcast, or now I got a YouTube channel, or now I'm on the radio, or now I'm doing whatever it is, because you just can't be, Instagram's trying to shut that shit down. You're not selling flat tummy tea, bitch, no more. No. We've hit the likes and all this other shit. We've taken that away, because you have to advertise with us. You want to peddle your little product, you advertise with Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. You know what I mean? We're not giving you free meals anymore where you can post and get 100,000 likes with you in your little bikini holding the flat tummy tea. So now you need this other hustle. And so I think that's where the accountability needs to begin. Because these are the people who are pushing those narratives. They're pushing the agendas. You know what I mean? Because, again, that's how these kids are consuming everything. YouTube, social media, whatever. What's the new one? TikTok or whatever. You know, some new create a video, do some weird shit.
Is it?
But this is where the new wave of big brothers are coming from. And I don't know if you remember the kid. What was his name? Boink or Doink or some shit like that. He had the tattoos on his face. Used to run into supermarkets and slap people's shit out their hands and run up into. His name was Doink or Boink or some shit like. Oh God.
I like Tyrone was funny though.
Yeah, no, this is a younger dude. He used to have this. He was a kid that went on the Adam 22 Jumper show, high as hell, and was passing. No, you don't. You didn't follow this kid, huh? He ended up getting his teeth knocked out or whatever, and now he's found God or some crazy shit. He apologized on his YouTube page after he realized all the crazy shit he was doing. It was Boink Gang or some shit. But you have these group of people who are just pumping this really, really ridiculous type shit, and you have all these youngsters who are following it. And the sites that share this content, the shade rooms, the world stars, those type of things, that's where we need to be accountable with the limiting, the limiting of the stupidity. You know, say, hey, should we really be sharing this? Should I really be making this a priority, you know, within my day? And I've tried to do that myself. Share something positive before I share something negative. You know what I mean? Trying to change that. Because those images, when you look at them going through your timeline, going through your feed or whatever it is that you're fucking with, going through the videos, that has to do something to you the more and more that you see that, especially when you're young and impressionable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Because it is some bullshit, and then the younger the mind, the bigger the bullshit you looking at. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's
that
like
is cold. You know, man, fuck that. You would follow. You know what? I'm gonna look for like 10, 15-year-olds and just follow them just to see what the fuck they look at through their lens. I'm not gonna say shit or nothing. Just follow them just to see. You know what I mean? What the fuck they look at it and what they share. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you had that opportunity,
that would freak us the fuck out. You know what I mean?
If you have an opportunity,
because I bet it's some bullshit.
To somehow follow one of your younger cousins without them really knowing, or just get their phone and be able just to thumb through, you know, what they're seeing. It's crazy, man. It is, you know, definitely crazy. And even my son, who's 5 years old, now that we have him boxing, he's hanging out with kids who are a little older. And after the gym is over, these kids have their laptops, or not laptops, or their iPads or tablets, whatever, and they're 9, 10 years old. And, you know, I'll go behind them, just kind of double check what they're watching or whatever. And and they're watching, you know, some of the same shit that we're watching. You know, titties slipping out of shirts, and, you know, somebody catching a fade.
Nothing wrong with that.
What I'm saying is, at a certain age, you can be a grown man. You can watch that. And you can decipher what you're looking at. But 9 or 10, you're looking at all that stuff. You know, it's going to change you because you're going to grow up fast. You know what I mean? It's, you know, like with me personally, by the time I was like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, who cares about a porno? Who cares about a Playboy? You know, I've seen it all at that point. I'm not tripping. It was a titties, so what? You know what I mean? Where it should have been a big deal at that age.
I'm a lot older than 14, and I still get excited from a titty.
But because now you have a greater understanding, right? You know what I mean? You understand that, oh, this old ass woman just whipped her titty out on me. You know what I mean? It's about to go down. And I don't mean old ass woman. I'm just saying, as far as we're older now.
Yeah,
you know, it's
grown.
Right. You know, we're grown. It's different. We understand. It's go time. But, you know, when I was 13, my pops and his tape library had me believing that, you know, if I order a pizza, I might get some pussy.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean?
He was pissed when Domino's came through.
Man, every time some dude showed up, I was like, where all these big titty heifers delivering pizzas, man? Not my city.
What the fuck was it? What the fuck was homegirl's name? Y'all motherfuckers was on there tough.
Who was that?
The Latin broad.
Old school Latin one?
Yeah.
Vanessa Del Rio?
Vanessa Del Rio, yeah.
Goats.
Yeah, Vanessa Del the motherfucker, I did not know nothing about algebra, no shit like but I knew who Vanessa Del Rio was.
Yeah, man, word to my pops, Michael Moraney. Good looking on that one. But you know what's crazy? I just found this out. Speaking of podcasting, the dude from No Jumper, date some porn chick and did a flick with her that I guess you can go acquire if you'd like. Yeah, they got this. They got them beating cakes.
Mm.
Crazy. But again, the things that we maybe do for that look, and the things that then people look, the next generation says, "Oh shit, let me bang somebody out on this tape real quick so I can get my podcast views up." And I'm not saying he did that. That's his woman. They're comfortable. They're in that, they're in that lane or whatever. But these are the things in general that, I'm talking about. The accountability, checking self first before,
Yeah.
before we can
I mean,
even be able to help someone else.
they go because it's clout chasing, but motherfuckers need to learn how to bang out a trust fund, or a trust, for the kids' college tuition and, like cool shit like that. You know what I mean? Or fucking filling out a life insurance policy and shit. Motherfuckers know who the porn star is and where her birthmark is by her ankle, but
Shit.
motherfucker don't know how to open up a fucking life insurance policy. You know what I mean?
Nah, you know what? It's true, man.
The accidental and all. You know what I mean? All the breakdowns.
Yeah, 2019 will teach me the things that we take for granted are sometimes super major.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things that we take for granted, where I think so like, oh, those are little things. Ain't nothing. Light work. But after having two people who are very close to us, three people very close to us, it's you look at that and you say, man, sometimes those little things should be focusing on extra. You know what I mean? And some of the things we choose to focus on or choose to trip on at the end of the day really aren't worth the time, the energy, or
It's irrelevant.
It's all irrelevant, man. It's all irrelevant.
The Matrix, man. The spoon is not there, homie. Shit, that's what it is, man. And that's you gotta appreciate the time that you're here and make the most of it, man. And anything monetary and shit is all cool and shit, man. But man, fuck that. What I'm learning now is just appreciate people, man, and just the ones that are around you, man. Because again, time is fucking bald, man. And we just don't know how much time we got or who else, what they got.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, you try to cram the lessons in. What was it, Cliff Notes or some shit like that, where they had the summary of the books and shit without having to read the book.
Yeah.
It's like you got to leave everybody you love Cliff Notes of whatever energy or whatever you trying to squeeze in this life form and get as much in as you can.
Yeah.
Because we might not be here tomorrow to finish the next 3 chapters. You know what I mean?
Nah, that's real spit, man. That is some wisdom for that ass, man. So with 2020 upon us, man, what are some of the things you're looking forward to, musically?
Ah, man, I'm not really looking forward to anything. I mean, like, open this shit up. You know what I mean? Music is getting better. I mean, but I to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what the fuck I'm looking forward to. I mean, maybe Kendrick.
Cole has a new record coming. It's called The Fall Off. So it's be his final in that last series, or in that his series of releases. I'm looking forward to that because I think KOD was so on point. If you go back and you listen to it now, a lot of the shit that's happened to these youngsters, like, he painted that whole entire picture, you know what I mean, of this type of thing occurring, and now it's here, and now we have this kind of generation of these KOD babies, and so we'll see what The Fall Off is all about. I'm looking forward to that. I'm not really looking forward to the next Kendrick album. I've been on record for a long time saying I didn't like Damn. I think it's probably his worst album.
I just think with Damn he reached hella far, and I think he'll get back to the grassroots of it. What he.
Do you think he can do that though? I mean, because he's carrying TDE. He's that flagship artist, and he's one of the biggest artists in the game. And he's got to keep track with someone like Drake, artist of the decade guy, right? Who just, like you said, we've heard the new song. We weren't impressed with it, but he's coming. He's got Drake's coming supposedly with Future in 2020. He's probably coming with his own. his own record or whatnot. So, I mean, I would imagine that TDE knows that they have to put him in a position to where Kendrick is still one of the biggest artists in the game, because the landscape has changed since we last heard from Kung Fu Kenny. You know,
I mean, the landscape has changed, but you know, with this and thinking about it, this is kind of like the Drake, the Drake and Prince argument, or Drake and Kendrick is the Prince and Mike argument,
okay,
and in the sense that I think that Drake can carry a song better. You know what I mean? As far as he's more musically talented, as far as with the melodies and shit like that. But I think that like how Prince was, I think that Kendrick is more intelligent, and I think that with Kendrick, he's so ahead of his fucking curve that he can still be ahead of the curve and not have to reach as far. You know what I mean? I think honestly with Damn, I think he learned his lesson with Damn, because out of all the albums that he's dropped, I think Damn is the least one talked about. Or as far as everybody's favorite.
yeah. I mean, people are always gonna love your first work. Damn, I don't know about being talked about in lesser than the other two, because this is his Pulitzer Prize record. You know what I mean? So this was a critically acclaimed record. He got a Pulitzer Prize from it. U2 was on the record. He had big records on there. I just thought it was too.
Stay away from that shit.
It was just too mainstreamy for me.
No, I agree. I agree, because that was the sole purpose of it.
And so I don't see him going back
Stepping away
and doing something different now that he's at that pinnacle, so to speak. Academics put out a list that had Drake being the rapper on his own tier, and then guys like Kendrick and Cole being the tier below that. Mm-hmm. Just as far as who's running hip hop and rap, or not hip hop, but running mainstream rap right now. So I don't see Kendrick not trying to put out another Damn type of record. I think there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot on that record, and he's got to kind of come back with a vengeance. He's got to do big numbers, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
He's gonna do big numbers regardless. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand that. I mean, yeah, he went and did the commercial shit, but Kendrick ain't getting no younger. I mean, what is he, in his 30s now?
So he might be in his 30s. He might be early 30s.
Fan base, I would say 70 to 80% of his core fan base are in their 30s. You know what I mean? It's not the youngsters. You know what I mean? It's the late 20s, early 30s in his age range. So, man, he can spit some real life shit, and it will be felt and move records. Will it fucking win a Pulitzer Prize? I mean, depending on what the content is and how deep he goes.
Yeah.
But if anybody is to do it, it's Kendrick.
Do you think the old cats can continue to win in 2020?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, of course. Because, I mean, you got to recognize it, you know what I mean? And shit, streaming and shit like that, like, they can still do tours and be relevant and shit like that. Like, when you listen to music, it take you back to a period of time that, you felt good, or it gave you a certain vibe and shit. So, when these artists, when they'll do these tours and shit like that, they're doing the Queen Mary or whatever out here in Cali, motherfuckers are trying to capture that moment in time, what made them feel
trying
good.
To relive that.
So, and with these artists and stuff like that, hey man, they got a timestamp in our souls. You know what I mean? And that's just the reality of it. So they'll be able to, sustain. I don't know about coming out with some new shit.
Right.
They did some crazy or something. I'd listen to it. You know what I mean? But
do you think that Griselda can keep up what they did in 2019 and 2020?
Yeah, because I mean they just spit bars, you know what I mean, and they ain't getting no dumber. If anything, they getting slicker and sharper with the pen. The only thing I think would fuck up Griselda is, I don't know if it was a Drake interview where he said he want to work with him or some shit like that.
Yeah, he likes him, co-signed him. I don't want to hear that.
No,
I don't really want to hear
not.
Benny and Conway with Drake. I don't think they need that.
No.
I don't think they needed that Eminem feature for Conway, and I don't think they need Drake. I think that they're the one unit.
But you never know. I mean, Drake again. Drake.
They're the
Drake
one
is upper
unit.
echelon. With, like you said, Drake is up here and Kendrick is down here. So
No, I said that's what
yeah,
academics said.
yeah.
That's where they put him. But I don't think Griselda
That's what
needs.
you said.
I don't think Griselda. I don't think Griselda needs Drake. I don't. They know who their fan base is, and they know who their audience is, and so I
But,
just don't, I hate when rappers jump out the window like that. You know what I mean?
but I mean, hey, it's a difference because with Griselda, you know what I mean. Like they're still not hitting or are they doing arenas or they're not hitting
Well,
stadiums?
they're
They got
doing
their core.
They have their core. They're doing, I would probably say,
I mean, they
10,000.
eating.
I think they're doing 10,000 and under seat venues.
That's what I'm saying.
Do I ever see Griselda rocking a packed Staples Center? No, because they don't make that type of music. You know what I mean? That would be mad crazy for them to be in there. I just don't see that happening. Do I see them doing a Nokia packed out? Yeah. Do I see? Definitely. You know, but to say that, you know, they can get a Drake feature to then get to that level, I just don't think they make that music.
But if you don't shoot your shot, you don't ever know. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, you can shoot your shot. Maybe Drake brings him out in New York at the Barclays. You know what I mean? While he's headlining, or Radio City Music Hall while he's headlining, and you bring him out for the NY vibe. But I believe that they just don't make that music where they could go do an arena in Salt Lake City, Utah, right tomorrow.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I just don't think that they do that, and I think they're not even worried about that. Merchandise is flying off the sales. Their albums are streaming well, and they're doing multiple shows. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I'll say about 2020 is that, or just even last year and this year, is that the way for these rappers to monetize and make money is just continues to grow. And so this is where, as you go back to Big Brothering, this is where we need to start seeing some of these cats come out the woodwork, like a Chameleonaire. Start showing some of these other cats how you got that tech
revenues.
How you got that tech money. You know what I mean? 40. Start showing these other youngsters. Someone who we don't talk about really at all, Mr. Fab. Show some of these youngsters how you're able to do dope air and how you're able to make some of the moves that you got going out there. Burner with the getting in the. How crazy is this? That Burner was able to get into the weed game before Freeway Ricky Ross.
Yeah,
that's crazy, right? Salute to him. He just got his. He has just been granted his right to sell marijuana legally in the state of California.
He had to get permission to.
Yeah, so there's something that I'm actually looking into. I don't know. I don't think I have Freeway Ricky Ross money, but basically there is a group out that's working with people in the inner city. It's called the Fair something or other. And it's on the tip of my tongue. But what they're doing is they're looking for awarding people within the inner city with licenses to open up, these marijuana shops. So that way, they're able to.
Shops or grow houses?
From what I understand, it's shops. The right to sell. I don't know anything about the grow houses, and I'm early in on trying to find out what's really happening here. But yeah, so he was able to go ahead and was awarded one recently. So he was saying how it's crazy now he's able to be a legal drug dealer for the first time in his life.
Welcome to America. Critical with shit. You know what I mean? Fucking 20 years of his life. Also shit they were flooding in. Yeah. Served 20 years, come out, and then the end result is he's selling more fucking drugs.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that's crazy. But I'm happy for him, man. I was watching a fucking documentary on him probably like 2 or 3 months ago. This is when he had first got out, and he was with his mom, and he's staying at his mama's house, and just going through it, man. Somebody that had so much money and power, got all that shit stripped the fuck away, and just.
Well, yeah, what, $1 billion? He lost over $1 billion, right?
Some shit like that.
Yeah.
And I hate to, I hate to see our people go through any fucking failed stories. You know what I mean? Like, that shit broke my heart. So, shout out to Freeway Rick. You know, if he open up the shit in the city, definitely support.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I guess they don't have an official press release just as just yet, but yeah, he was able to get his the right to distribute marijuana legally,
Mm.
which is dope, man. Um, let's see here. Of course, he's only the African American outlets are covering this.
Hmm.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
You don't see any of these other. So shout out to what is this? The Detroit Metro Times. Shout out to them. Um, and so let me just find this really quickly.
What's it called, man? But some of these sites and shit, like the credibility and shit. Cause I seen some shit, and I don't know the how true it is. But you hear about Snoop and homegirl saying, um, I don't know if she's an Instagram model or some shit like that, but he was Snoop's wife left him again or some shit like that. But I don't know if it's fake news or real.
Left him again, like for what?
For
Him
cheating.
I mean, you know what? I know that's
Infidelities and-
something that he's always had to deal with, you know, and it's been gone back and forth. So yeah, maybe she's tired of it. And I mean, that's a tough one for Snoop. If it is, I hope it's not true because his wife.
Well, so they said some IG model was spilling the tea that she was fucking with him and he was sniffing coke off her booty or some shit like that. You know, and then the wife had found out, so she had separated. But it, like I said, it wasn't from a viable source that I seen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's so many fucking outlets now, so I don't know what the fuck's viable or not. But I seen it, and I'm just like, man, you know, even with that shit. Even with that shit being fake news, can you just imagine being a married man and shit like that? Your wife sees some shit like, you fucking with another one, Calvin?
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, you know, he just did this thing where he had a play about, you know, him giving himself to God, and he did a play for her. They had that little tour that he did, and so yeah, man, that's got to be fucked up, you know. And hopefully it's not true.
You getting breakfast on Saturday morning and shit. Hey, she got a funky ass mood and shit.
Right.
And you can't figure it out. Hey, what's this, Calvin? What's this?
Yeah, nah, it's all bad, man. So for those that were interested, it's a national diversity and inclusion cannabis alliance, and so it's a group here in Los Angeles, and I'm assuming nationwide, that advocates for equity in legal weed. So meaning that, you know, they're trying to get more people of color involved in the legal weed industry. Started by a sister, so salute to her in regards to that. So basically what they do is they go around and they set up monthly mobile expungement clinics in low income areas, so that way they can try to get some stuff off your record to allow you to become
that's the hustle right now.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up because I seen a young lady trying to file motherfuckers' taxes and include the expungement for free as a bonus for filing taxes and shit. Like, man, that shit is cold killer. You know, Mike was in here saying all you got to do is go down to City Hall, and you know what I mean. It's a pretty simple process, but uninformed. You know what I mean. We worried about fucking Xanaxes and fucking lean instead of, you know, how the fuck a motherfucker can get expungement off of his record that's holding him back from, you know, working with the postal service. You know.
So right now, LA is handing out 100 retail licenses to applicants who meet a certain criteria. Top priority will be given to a person who has a cannabis conviction, comes from a zip code affected by the war on drugs, and is low income, followed by a person who doesn't have to be low income but has lived in a community affected by the war on drugs for at least 10 years. So let's see here. They're saying that it costs about monthly to rent a spot $20,000. That seems super expensive. I've been to a lot of weed shops, and they're not paying $20,000. That's crazy.
Maybe that's their ticket to get you the license to go ahead and move it.
Yeah.
You know, they probably just putting this shit together. They putting this shit together, and you know, under somebody's name with a prior, so they wouldn't fuck with them again, or maybe an additional conviction or some shit. I mean, I don't know what the fucking what the mo would be behind it, but I do got a random ass question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you had your own strand of weed,
Yeah.
your own strand, what would you name your strand?
Man, that's a good one. I've never really thought about that. It would have to be something that would definitely be something that is memorable and people want to continue to fuck with, and say it and have pride when they go to the weed shop. So I don't know. I mean, I've never really thought about it because this shit is so crazy. You got Yoda's brain. You got
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so the
shit is
strand just off top. If you had to name him strand right now,
I couldn't tell you because there's probably a strand out there that already exists.
All right, they say, look, hip hop's Uncle Phil. we gonna give you this license. We gonna give you this business, but you gotta name this strand right now. What the fuck would you come up with? We'll get everything wrapped up. Got to come up with the strand name.
Man, I'm drawing a blank. To be honest,
I
with
done
you,
seen you write hooks and verses and
right, but that's
2
something
minutes.
that's something that I was super unprepared, and anything I'm gonna say would be sound hella corny, and I don't. There's nothing on the tip of my tongue that I like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If anything, I would call it "I'm Floating."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Back to a song we did a long time ago. You know what I mean? So maybe I would call it "I'm Floating" if I had to come up. But I'm pretty sure there's something already out there like that. You know what I mean? These weed names are just ridiculous now. And a lot of the shit,
man, I think they make them up they goddamn self.
it all looks the same, a lot of it, and then they just switch it up. If you're not at a high level of weed smoking, and I hopefully when I go to Seattle in a week with wifey, I get to hit their dispensaries and see some of the stuff that they're doing. But a lot of it all tastes and looks the same at this point, especially if you're dealing with cats in the street like sometimes I do. So yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm floating.
Is there a strand that is
a go-to for me or
no, not a go-to. Is there a strand that you've heard of but couldn't get your hands on, or something that
wifey for a long time has been looking for Amnesia Haze.
Yeah.
In
I've never
in
heard
a flower.
That shit in my life.
I've seen it. We've seen it.
Was she kicking it with Bill Cosby?
Let's hope not.
In 2003.
I need to check if that's what went down. But so yeah, we went to a couple dispensaries.
Amnesia
said they had
Haze,
it,
huh?
didn't have it. Amnesia Haze. Amnesia Haze. But yeah, no. I mean, there's
so much to choose
there's just so
from.
much
Shit, yeah.
when you go and you look at and then when you show a lot of these dispensaries, when they don't have the stuff that they have online anyway. You know what I mean? That's here in LA though. So when I was up in Portland,
that's a dope fiend move just to get your ass.
Yeah,
in the
when I was up in Portland and it was more established, they had it there. Everywhere you went, they had the shit there. But it was more established. It felt different. They'd been doing business a lot, longer. Than Cali has. It had been legal longer.
These little shops and shit like that, they set them up for about maybe a good 3-4 months at,
and then they
at
cracked.
most, and then they done. So they got to jump to another location.
Exactly.
Jump to another location.
So I haven't been to any of the high end stores out here yet. But when I was in Portland, we went to Cookies, which I think is burner shit, and we went to a lot of different spots and. It's like you're walking into a department store. It's just a really weird, really weird feel. It's well lit, nice countertops. Motherfuckers got matching shirts and shit. You know what I mean? You feel like you're in a department store for weed, and I think that's something that still myself have not been able to adjust to yet. Because I don't like the feeling of walking into like a Foot Locker and buying my herb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't really feel the same. Even though when we were in Portland, it was fire. Don't get me wrong. It just didn't feel like I was copping. You know what I mean? It was weird.
Yeah, not a body experience and shit.
No, it was just odd. Like you walk in and like you get your shit and it's a nice packaging. and then they give you a bag with their brand on the side. You know what I mean? Like,
What's weird about that?
because I'm used to just getting my shit in a brown paper bag, putting my product in my coat pocket or whatever, or my pants, and then
out.
mobbing to the whip. You know what I mean? Not, it's like I was, you see the motherfuckers at the Ontario Mills walking with all the shit that they bought. Just imagine, instead of the bag, Foot Locker, the Best Buy or whatever, motherfuckers just walking with a whole bunch of weed bags.
Fuck it, homie. I mean, I don't know. That shit is crazy. I mean, like I said, it took forever for me to go to them shops and shit like that. So I would roll, because before you had to have the Rex and all that type of stuff and go to the doctor. And I like that type of shit. To me, weed
That's
ain't
too
ever,
much.
Yeah, weed ain't ever been that serious for me. So I just like,
You also know, you always knew where to get it without having to go to that extent.
True that. But, my partners and shit like that would have the cards and shit, and they'd, go pick their shit up. And, I always found it entertaining as far as just kicking in the parking lot. Kicking in the parking lot while they go the fuck in, and you're just seeing the clientele or the client base that's coming out with their bags and shit. It's like, and you can see their faces just lit the fuck up like a little kid that, found $20 and is about to walk into Chuck E. Cheese and get some fucking tokens and be lit for the next, 30 minutes and shit. So that shit, you see all kinds of walks of life just coming out. You see young folks, you tell your little stoners with the little skateboards and shit like that, but then you're looking at motherfuckers that look like they're teachers, you know what I mean? And then, fucking motherfuckers are working corporate law, or, you know what I mean? It's just all walks of life, man. And it's where it's like a crack house, but with weed.
Well, and that's what you described right there. Really, just went ahead and helped change my wife's perception on smoking weed. Because the first time I took her to the dispensary, before we went in, she was nervous, so we're outside, and she sees old ladies coming out, soccer moms, the stoners, the gangsters, the school mom, the nurses, everybody. Some lady walked in with her scrubs and walked out with her little bag. You know what I mean? So when she was able to see the many different faces of people who choose to medicate, that changed her perception on it. Because again, I'm sure her being born and raised in South Central, the people who look and smell like weed are normally the niggas that's on the streets, or the hoodsters. You know what I mean? Now, being able to see it at a dispensary level, she was able to see the different people who use it, and I think that made it a lot more comfortable.
Open the eyes.
Yeah. So now I feel what you're saying in regards to that, man.
Yeah, it should be interesting as fuck, just seeing the motherfuckers. I mean, they legalize it and shit, but I'm not ready to see that motherfucker at Walmart or fucking CVS and shit like that.
Nah, that's something.
But we was in the malls with the mall, or we was in Brea Mall with my brother and shit, and doing the last minute Christmas shopping, and in the middle of the fucking mall, in the fucking kiosk, they had they had the CBD, and I know that in New York, they was doing the CBD, and it's now THC and shit like that, but the motherfuckers still had edible right there in the middle of the fucking mall. They had edibles and shit, the gummies and all that type of shit for sale. I was tripping.
But was it THC or CBD edibles?
No, it was THC edibles.
Oh, okay, well, so they were out there wilding. Yeah, because that's you definitely gonna get popped. It's
THC, 10 milligrams, because it's little gummy bears or some shit, so it's like 10 milligrams per gummy or some shit like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we were tripping, man, because they had the edibles and they had the the lotions and the fucking oils and shit like that.
Well, maybe they had some sort of special permit. You know what I mean? It's still, I understand. It's coming. It's going to be mainstream pretty soon. Corporations are going to get behind it. They've already behind it.
Yeah.
You already see the different brands and things that
what the fuck you gonna do when you see this shit rolled out at 7-Eleven? You can get
well, you can get CBD at some 7-Elevens, but
not CBD, but a fucking pre-roll or some shit that with your fucking
coming.
Slurpee.
It's coming. You can already go in and get a cigarette. They've raised that age to 21 now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's coming. You're gonna be able to go into 7-Eleven one day and be like, yeah, let me get a pack of burners, cookies or whatever, and this and that. You know what I mean? It's definitely coming. We're moving. We're definitely moving that way. Will it be 2020? Maybe not, but in the very near future, especially as more of these states realize how much money they can make from that's coming in, they're gonna make it available everywhere.
It's a fucking low yield. You know what I mean? Like, it's a high yield product but a low bottom line. You know what I mean? Like as
Yeah.
far as reinvesting in, I mean, you growing a fucking plant, bro.
Sunlight, water,
Yeah, that's it.
and time.
Shit. Hey, and you know what I'm saying? Like you're the government, so you can grow this shit in
Wherever.
all the fucking
Yeah.
the fucking advised fucking areas and shit like
Yeah,
that. So
definitely.
you know, Oregon and shit, man. Can you imagine growing this shit in Oregon and
Oh,
you
I
know the
can't
little
wait, man.
forestry
Oh, I
areas?
can't wait to go up there and try Washington. What Washington's best? What they have to
Oh,
offer?
you gonna be fucked up.
Oh man.
You gonna be on some Whitney shit, man. I wanna dance with somebody.
Look, I told my wife. I said, you know, when we talked about taking this beginning of the year trip, she wanted to go to Seattle. I'm like, why does a Latina from South Central want to go to fucking Seattle, Washington? Like,
It
all right,
wasn't
whatever.
the bud, was it?
No, she wants to go. She's in one of these, you know her. She's Food Network, Travel TV. You know what I mean? So she wants to go experience all the shit she sees on these TV shows.
Mhm.
So I told her, look, there's only 3 things I want to do: have some clam chowder, smoke some weed, and knock boots. That's all I want to do when I go up there. So everything else,
And not in that particular order.
maybe in that particular order, yeah. Who knows? But anything else, you want to go see vintage stores and do all this other type of
You with it,
stuff.
yeah.
As long as I'm in an elevated mood and my belly's full and I'm gonna get me some later, wait, dumb out, have fun.
You're not gonna kick it with Pete Carroll and shit.
Nah, I'm not
Hey,
definitely.
Marshawn is back. You know what I mean? Hey, that Bay connection.
Yeah, no, it'll be I think the playoffs will just have started when we're out there. But yeah, nah, I'm not trying to. Yeah, I'm worried about how cold and rainy it's gonna be, bro.
Hey, man, speaking of cold, it is fucking cold out here,
It
man.
is, man. Cali is cold than a motherfucker right now.
Hot, cold. Man, we been getting some extreme shit lately, man.
Yeah, we
Shit.
have. But man, let's wrap this up, man. Anything you want to say before we get out of here about 2019?
Yeah, man. Shit. Everybody listening, hey, it's you know we got through it, and we got 2020, man, and shit. I want everybody to fucking level up, man. Level up, be happy, and you know let's be productive, man. Support one another, and understand we got to stop having the mindset of doing this shit by ourselves. Let's start working progressively, and you know start to influence some change.
Yeah, man, I'll second that as well. Everybody, time to level up. We're gonna level up as a show. We got a lot of good shit coming in 2020. More on that as it comes. Again, prayers and well wishes, man, to our boy, co-host, family member, Big Pooh, man. My wishes in 2020 to sit back and have an honest conversation with my guy. You know, one time, man. So everybody who's listened, everybody who's rocked with us through a very tough 2019, we appreciate you. Like I said, we will be back in 2020. Gonna take about 2 weeks off. Is like I said, I go eat clam chowder, smoke some weed, and make love to my wife, and then I'll come back, and then we'll be back with some new episodes of an honest conversation about hip hop. So until then, thank you very much for listening. As always, Nyce Rockwell is behind us on the beat, and until then, shit. Have a blessed rest of your 2019 and a great early 2020 until we catch you next time. Peace.